Hello, welcome back to the Inside Out podcast. I'm the Inside Out podcaster on YouTube if you want to find us. I'm here with my friend Vince Minniti, who is doing some exciting things, including he's getting ready to release a short film called Washington Avenue that he's going to tell us all about. He's a podcaster, he's a social media influencer. And a lot of other things. So welcome.
Thank you
for
much.
coming in.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Natalie. It's great to be here. I'm so excited to finally be on your show. It's been, I know we kind of had, my fault, we had to do a little rescheduling, but it's great. I love your show, and
It's
I'm
okay.
really happy
It makes
to
it
be
like the show is, really something. So thank you. Anyway, I'm dying to know. I want to know. Well, let's start with the movie. Let's start with Washington Avenue because you're getting ready to release it to the film festival scene. But give us a little backstory. When did you start to work on this script, and how did you get into film? Did you go to school for film? Give us a little background.
It's totally guerrilla filmmaking at its finest, and which I'm a big fan of. But no, I always had this ambition to kind of want to do things. I started writing screenplays a few years back. I spent some time in LA, and I kind of caught the bug, and I always liked to write stories, even from as a 7-year-old kid. We would always do short stories, and at that time I was always a fan of horror and just film in general. And then as you get older, you kind of get distracted with things. Later on, I found out that, you know what, there's a great thing going on with social media. I got really interested back in probably early 2023. And I had like 50 followers on Instagram, and I started to just get my feet wet with social media because I seen that as a way to build a following, build a community, with the hopes of someday getting more active in the film industry. So, fast forward a few years, started just tinkering around with different ideas and just observing what people were doing and how people were putting together films, even short films. So I decided I want to do a short film, a couple other projects that I was working on, but I really want to just do a short film, just me, just to kind of take a shot and see how it comes out. And I wrote a script, got some dear friends involved that did me big favors. As far
I know we have a mutual friend, Freddie Gano, who's in
Exactly.
and you do a lot of filming on the corner of my street where I grew up on 10th and Tasker, the Twin Smoke Shop, right?
Yes, absolutely. Great guys, thank you. The Twin Shop, Anthony Renzulli and the guys over there were fabulous, as well as also Julia over at Esposito's.
I saw that, yeah.
He was fantastic. He let us use his location as well. So, I wanted to keep, and we did around the Italian the Italian market around where I grew up. I grew up around 10th and Christian, so we filmed a little spot of St. Paul's where I was baptized and went to school and the whole thing.
It's a beautiful church.
It is, yeah, thank you. And so, in that general area is where I grew up. So I wanted to at least, like I'm giving back, like I'm not Spielberg, but I wanted to at least, for my first gig, I wanted to at least show the neighborhood and, the beautiful people around it.
You have to get off the track of the movie, but you know what I love about our neighborhood? It has maintained, even though it changed, it totally changed. It's become like a Greenwich Village versus the Italian neighborhood that we grew up in, which I love because it's exciting to go back. It's not depressing. And it's such a confluence of different people, generations, Gen Xers, millennials, hipsters, and some old Italian ladies still sweeping the sidewalk with their brooms. But there's classic places down there that are still there, and they bring me home, like Esposito's, and they still have quality products, right?
Absolutely, and a lot of it's the same thing. I go up to New York a lot of times. We were just there for a couple different festivals, San Gennaro, Santa Rosalia up in Brooklyn. But anyway, it's the same sort of thought. Neighborhood's changing. There's still some great things about the neighborhood that we love, and there's that nostalgia. And that's I've come to grips with the fact that things are going to change. Obviously, I mean, our ancestors, we're not walking around, Calabria or Sicily, in our neighborhoods back where they grew up. So things will change, but the beauty's still there. I think the people that are coming in the neighborhood add a nice dimension to it, a nice element to it. And I can't tell you how much, as you know, Philly's a great place for food and the arts, and so everybody contributes that sort of gift, to the neighborhood.
Yeah, it comes through in every one of my guests because they're all Philly-based right now. Who knows? Maybe at some point I'll expand the network here beyond Philadelphia, but we're all so proud of it. So Absolutely. It comes through. So you want to tell us a little bit about what the movie's about, the short film?
So, ironically, originally I wanted to create a comedy, but I started writing as people that write screenplays are involved in the arts. So it's just a weird thing how stories begin to take a life of their own.
That's true.
So I started writing this. I'm like, you know what? I think I want to switch gears and I want to make this into a drama. And so I started to just kind of rewrite I still left a little bit of humor. A little you'll notice when you watch it, but it's a drama, and it's about the story of Sammy Mancini, who is played by our wonderful friend Freddie Gano, who's a SAG actor, been around a long time, did some amazing work. And so originally I was going to be the lead, but then I realized I'm like, Freddie, I got Freddie, great, and he'll kill it.
He's terrific, yeah.
So obviously, and he did an amazing job. He mentored other actors on the set. I couldn't do it without him. So Freddie went ahead and kind of partnered up with me, and we did this. And the idea is basically, here's a guy who's going through a midlife crisis, and he's trying to figure out, his dad passed away, and he was always a very obedient son, and now he doesn't know, his moral compass is a little broken. He doesn't know which way to go. So he decides he wants to do something with his life. He's tired of his mundane life as a butcher in the Italian market, so he wants to become a criminal, and he decides to go court the local mob and see if he can get in their good graces. And then I'm not going to give too much away because this is short,
but we want to see it.
But it's not a mob movie. It is about a guy's journey, and it's really, hopefully the viewers will pick up on it. It's really about, his own personal struggles and morality and what is honor.
Oh, that's really interesting because it is intriguing. I saw the trailer, and so you don't know it's going that way, and I just thought mob story, a total mob story. But now that I hear that, I even want to see it more.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. Freddie Gano, a couple years ago when my book came out, my friend who was also a guest on the show, Michael Cotto, who is a local author.
Great guy.
Yeah, Mike. Well, we partnered and produced a show called Book to Stage at the Theater Exile, and we brought 4 Philadelphia authors, including ourselves, and our books to stage. And the nuance of it was that the authors got up and read a little passage from their book that teed up a scene from local actors. So the lights went down because it was a real small little theater on the author reading, and the lights went up on the actors, and Freddie was one of the stars. And he helped coach me along too, because I got on stage as well to read from my book and to do things like that, and so he's a great guy. But I just had a question asked of me the other day, because I mentioned to you that I'm working on a short film for my book with Kevin Hackenberg, our director and producer of the podcast, who's also going to direct our film, One Foot In. And somebody said to me, why a short film? What is a short film? And honestly, until about a year or so ago, I really wasn't familiar with the art of a short film. I mean, I've seen on the Academy Awards where there's a category of people, but I would love to know your opinion. So for me, sharing my short film with the world through a film festival and using it to build community, to use it for events and things like that Kevin and I are working on in a collaborative way, to use it for events or to bring people together was the objective. And then as more people become exposed to it, if there's an opportunity for someone to make a series or a feature film, that would be awesome. But I think in the short run, but what is your objective for the short film?
Well, I mean, for me, it was a way to express some of that, that creativity that I had inside of me that I wanted to kind of just see how it would come out, because I've been wanting to do it for quite a while. And it was like, catharsis. So you want to just see something that's in your mind actually play out. And what also interested me was we had all these different people that added their own element of their own creativity to it. We talked about Freddie as well as Leo and Frankie and these other guys that were in it. And it was just great. So for me, I also wanted the experience of going through it without, taking on a huge movie and all the responsibility. I just wanted to kind of put my toe in the water and just see how it is. Plus, our mutual friend, which I'll plug, I watched Turkey's Done by our dear friend Monique Pagliazzo out there in L.A., who's a local filmmaker now, is in L.A. And I seen what she did, and I was like, you can create a nice story in a small setting as a short, with the hope that you learn how to do it, you get the experience from doing it, and also you kind of get your name out there, and then maybe this could be a feature if it's received well, and maybe kind of build your community, and maybe you attract other people that are in the industry, and you can collaborate on different projects in the future. So I think it's a win-win. I would be lying to you and your guest to say that people are making money off of shorts. More times than not, you're not.
Right.
But it's more of a way to get yourself noticed and to have some fun and to learn the craft.
Right? And you have to be creative. So you wrote the script. Are you directing?
So I also directed on there. I wrote the script. I did a little bit of everything. I had some great help from some great people, which I thank you very much. And that's what's important. If you're out there and you're trying to make a short or anything, it's good. within reason. You don't want to take advantage of anybody, but if you can get people that have a vision, that love the business, and they want to get involved, you'll find a lot of people will come out of the woodwork and do you some favors.
Yeah, that's great. How about directing?
Yeah, so my first crack at directing,
Okay.
and it's it's challenging. I see why it's such a hard business or a hard vocation to be a director, but I think you just have to convey your vision. But I like to allow the actors to give their. I'm very open, just like Scorsese. I'm not Scorsese, but
Right.
the way he allows actors to give their own interpretation of how
the
they
script or
would
the role.
right, exactly. And so I think it's a win-win, because as long as you like it, obviously. I mean, but as long as you allow people to put their own creativity as actors, I think that really creates a good chemistry. As well as, like I said, Freddie was rehearsing with everybody. It was daily. Towards the end, it was like a couple times a day, and he ran with the ball, and he really, being a veteran that he is, it just was a big help to me. And rehearsal and that synergy and that chemistry is very important.
Right. Even when I produced the stage show, my work was going to be acted out on stage, and I had to learn an important lesson, and that was to let go and just to watch and see how somebody else interpreted it, because I think, there's a wide audience out there, and everybody has a different experience that they bring to it, and maybe that resonates with somebody that I didn't reach the first time around in just the book itself. So it is a lesson in, I wouldn't say humility unless you're like a huge ego, but it is a lesson in letting go, right? And let me just see how they take it and what they add to it, because it might enhance it, right?
Absolutely, and I think that you have to respect everybody else's point of view, and sometimes you might be so focused on a certain way you want this character to be, but then someone brings something up there like, yeah, it makes sense. It gives it more color to the character, and it should, in my opinion, it should be like that. It should be a collaborative, because it's a collaborative medium. So you want everybody's interpretation and opinion.
All right. So switching gears back to the social media content, you started out saying that you had like 50 or something followers. What are you up to now? You've grown it.
Well, on Instagram, yeah, thank God, yeah, it's growing. Instagram's about 24,000.
That's amazing.
Maybe
not.
not.
That's the content is good. I've seen it.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to. It's weird, because with social media, it's a whole other world. However, it is related to film now, and more increasingly. But now social media is cool, because I did it more as a way to just relieve stress and daily grind, and just it was a fun way to kind of interact, and so and that's another thing you can catch the bug from. Sometimes it gets a little too time consuming, but. Yeah, I grew to 24,000 on Instagram, maybe 11,000 on TikTok, and like 9,000 on Facebook, which in the big scheme of things isn't a lot compared to some of these other people that have 100,000.
But it's nothing to sneeze at. 24,000 people. I think it's pretty substantial.
And I've tried to figure out, okay, you try to figure out how to crack the code, with the algorithm, but it's just about putting out decent, decent content, and I try to. You'll see that there's film on there, there's food, there's all kinds of different stuff. I like the variety. I don't stick to one genre, which may or may not be a good idea.
Well, you probably reach wider audiences with different interests.
Yeah.
I mean, in my day job, I'm a marketing communications consultant, and so I pay attention to things like this for my clients, because I post on their behalf many times. Sometimes I'm creating the content myself. And I'm like, oh, that really got a lot of hits. And then it'll trigger an idea even for myself. But I do find that a lot of things come down to headline. If you have an intriguing headline, people click through and they want to. Do you find something that's similar?
Yeah. What seems to work the most, anyway, from what my experience is, it's anything related to like a star or anything related to a movie, or especially food. Food is like crazy, the amount of reach it has. But as it relates to film, having a good social media, and that would be another suggestion I would give to anybody who's kind of starting out, is really put some time into building your social media, because social media is an in-house audience, and it's so hard to get publicity for. If you're especially just starting out, it's hard to really get people to see what you're doing. But if you can build a social media profile that's large in that community, you already have people you have eyes that are waiting for it.
All right. And speaking of, you just mentioned that having a name person, a celebrity, of someone who has some celebrity on your podcast, which is I always say it wrong.
Vinny Presents.
Vinny Presents. Thank you. You've had some pretty big name Hollywood celebs on there and stuff. Who was the most? Would you say the most famous?
The most famous, which hasn't been aired yet, is Michael Madsen. So, and that's for those that who don't know who that is. That is he was in Reservoir Dogs. He was in Pulp Fiction. He was in Donnie Brasco. He played Sonny Black. So he's been around.
Oh, Oh, right.
He's,
Oh, yeah, I've seen him. Didn't he also play the husband in Thelma and Louise?
I think so.
I think he was in Thelma and Louise.
I got connected through him with a dear friend. He's a filmmaker out in L.A. His name is Dominique Milano. Ciao to Dominique. He's a great guy. His mother was an actress overseas in Paris and in Italy, and worked with some pretty big names out there. And so Dominique lives in Hollywood, in Los Angeles anyway. And he did a documentary with Michael Madsen as well as with Chuck Zito. And so he connected. We became friends. He connected me with Michael Madsen. So that's yet to be here. But I've had like Louis Lombardi, who's a great guy. We became friends by me reaching out to him to be a guest, and we became friends. And he's been in The Sopranos, Entourage, 24. He's been in a ton of movies.
If you don't ask, you don't get,
right?
right?
And that's another thing. You really have to be your own advocate.
Yes.
Whether it's a podcast or it's an online show. Really, I hate to call it a podcast, but it's an online show. And even with film, you kind of have to just it's a definite no if you don't ask.
Yes, right, exactly. And were there any moments of like, wow, like when you were interviewing somebody, any moments of surprise that come to mind, or something that you didn't know that you learned, or?
Probably every episode there's something, because you're listening, you're talking to filmmakers, you're talking to actors, because that's really, I kind of whittled it down to just people in the film industry now. Before it was different,
right.
local people, singers, whatever. Now I kind of whittled it down because it just makes sense for me. Like that's the business I want to be in. But going back to your question, yeah. So when I speak to people, I learn, oh wow, he just mentioned something about distribution, or wow, she just mentioned something that could have went wrong on a set. So I'm always listening, always kind of sponging up whatever.
You're a student.
Yeah.
You're a student of it, and that's how you keep going and doing different things, all these exciting things. Just in case viewers want to see your podcast show, you could give them the information, but it'll also be in the description too.
On YouTube, it is Vinny Presents. You'll find it. I like to host right from YouTube, but and also my social media, Vinny from South Philly. You'll find it on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
We still have time. I just wanted him to get it in so everybody knows where to go. I'm jumping back and forth between all the different creative ventures you're involved in. So back to the movie.
I'm a fan of creativity.
I love that. Me too. The Washington Avenue short film. So talk a little bit about the process of getting into film festivals, and which film festivals we can expect it to be.
Well, right now, at this taping, we're still at the final leg of just making sure the music composition's right. And Justin Banks, by the way, shout out, he's composed the music and he's doing a great job. And so we're right at the end of that now. Preparing for the film festivals. Film Freeway is a site where you can find all these different.
What's it called? Film Freeway?
Yeah, and it just.
So I just learned something, and I'll put that tag that in my little notes. So Film Freeway.
It's a major. It's sort of a landing page where it has all the festivals. You can upload your pictures. You have your own sort of page where you can create your CV or your resume. It's just a great place to find all the festivals in one place, not only nationwide but also all over the country. So you go there, and the thing is, you may have to make sure your specs are right and everything is your deliverables for a.
According to what each one, are they different from festival to festival, or are they pretty much the same?
Pretty much the same, but
standard industry.
You don't want to show a lot of these. You don't want to show it publicly. So although I would love to find a small theater and kind of have a premiere, you really can't do that. You want to put it
until after the festival.
Until after. A lot of them don't want that. So
you want the big reveal, and they want the big reveal. Is what you're saying? They don't want it if it's already been shown.
Right. They say you want to do the film festival circuit, and then you can do something locally.
Right.
So and that could be challenging too, because as a short, like, okay, you got to find a small theater that's going to want to do it, and then so one creative thing might be to partner up with another filmmaker. Maybe you show both of your shorts at this, some different things that I've been thinking about.
I wish mine was ready.
Well, we can do that. That's something we can do.
Right. So do you want to say, or you don't have to say, but how many film festivals you're going to submit it to, and do you have to be approved?
You do have to be approved for most of them, and maybe all of them, but it depends on. I want to be a little bit more selective. Like, I don't just want to throw it to like something that really is incredible, and you have to do a little bit of your due diligence, because they say there is maybe some politics involved with some of these film festivals. So you kind of
come on.
That's just life. That's life in general. And I'm a big boy. I realize how that works. But so you kind of want to stick to the ones that are. For me, for this short, just for the LA shorts, there's a bunch of them that are geared towards a sort of film. Yeah, and there are some that attract. They're probably more. They have
owned or built the reputation to be more selective than others, like at Sundance or I don't know, Venice or some of the bigger ones. You know, how about Tribeca? They're probably.
I'm interested in Tribeca. That's one of them. Definitely. Garden State Film Festival is another one. Beverly Hills Film Festival, why not? You know, I kind of want to throw it in different parts of the country.
See where
maybe one international, but I want to be a little bit selective. Not to say, you know, that it's such an amazing thing, but I also don't want to be. I don't want to just cast it out into 20 different film festivals because I kind of. They want to be legitimate. You want to know that you got. If you get an award, you're lucky enough that it's a legitimate film festival.
And you also have to be at all these places, right? So you'd have to coordinate scheduling and so, or you'd want to be maybe at the bigger ones anyway.
Ideally, yeah, I'd like to be.
Yeah,
you know, but it depends on where it is and timing.
Yeah.
Timing is always an issue. But I also want to just see how I think, my opinion, of course, everybody loves their own creation. But I think we're a contender.
Yeah, well, you have to advocate for your own film.
Right.
Well, I can't wait to see it. I'm really happy you came on and told us a little bit about this. I'm intrigued now. I can't wait till after it goes through the circuit of film festivals, so it'll be somewhere, and I'll publish it on my social media pages. So we have Vince Minniti, filmmaker, podcaster, social media influencer. I am so excited for your film. Can't wait to see it.
I do it all. I'll even wash the windows after we're done here.
Thank you for coming on, Vince.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Subscribe, like, and you'll get all the information in the description below.